Okay, it's interesting today how I had an army, and I mean an army of ants cross my path. I was like, not sure what to do because it was going in my backyard, and I'm like, I call an exterminator. I said, they were carrying something white in their mouths. And he says, it's larva. I'm like, oh, Lord, love a duck. I said, I can come and exterminate around your house if you want. Tomorrow it's going to cost you like about $250. And like, so I do the vinegar and water thing and I spray around my house. But when I do that, I go around back and they're all gone. So they're in my yard, and my yard is huge. So I have to call somebody who does landscaping, and I'm just like, I don't want to kill any live beings, because I read up on it and I find out it's about transitioning, and it's about like all the stuff that's going on right now. I'm like, Lord, love a duck. You know, being a mystic is one thing, but being a Buddhist, that's a whole different thing. And years now, I mean, like, I literally will not kill a mosquito. I'll catch it in my hand and throw it outside, or a fly or whatever. Caught them in a cup, throw them outside. When I was at a retreat one time years and years ago, they probably thought I was nuts. That was back, I think, in the fall equinox of September. In 2019, I think it was at the time. Or was it 2018? No, 2019. And so everybody was, I remember energetically, my guide's like, get to bed, get to bed. It's like Orion, whoever knows Orion. It's like, get to bed, get to bed. And I'm like, yep. And they're all talking about, you know, their experiences, what kind of extraterrestrial being they are and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, I'm more into the angelical stuff, even though I used to take pictures of the sky and God, a blue and a gray in a picture, amongst other things. It's kind of odd, but it just is. And so I'm more of angelical presence, more about divine beings, more about being of peace, being of love as much as possible. Even today, I bought myself something really unique. I got some. It says, you don't have to be attending every argument you're invited to. I'm like, oh, Lord, love a duck. Isn't that true? Like, I've been in situations many times over the years where I've sat in the murky waters and just let that person process as it may. Like, just get it out, do what it is you need to do, and sat there and went, at the time, I didn't realize even what it was I was doing. I was just like, the Buddhist in me was just like, I'm not going to engage. I am not going to engage in this. This is not about me. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to mirror any of this. And I used to sit in the thick of it, especially at a time when I was in a wheelchair and around the selective view. And it was just kind of like, I'm just not going to, I'm not going to start an argument, or I'm not going to engage in the argument, because we all have things we process, whether it's from our childhood, from whatever the case may be, from experiences of trauma. And then it's like the placing blame and things like that. And people really want to just, I used to be like that, where I would rush things and be like, okay, I have to deal with that. I have to take care of that right now. I got to process it. I got to be done with it, and let's move on. And so it's really interesting as we reflect. And we don't have to stare. We don't have to be stuck there. But it's interesting how certain things will come up with people, and then an argument can start, and then you feel defensive, and then you're like, I got to stand in my sovereign self, my sovereign being, and know that, you know, boundaries are important, and self-respect, and all this stuff, especially when there's a history of trauma with your family and things get brought up, and it can be very uncomfortable. And at the same time, it's like all of you take accountability and responsibility for your own actions in whichever it may be, and however it may be, it will surface because consciously the other is thinking of you, you're thinking of them, however it be, and it just comes forward. It's like when somebody dies, and then all of a sudden you're like going, I resolved all that years ago. It's evident that you haven't, and you died, and now your curiosity has got the best of you, and you're wondering what's going on, how is this, how is it processed? And I always say to Spirit, cross over, don't shortchange yourself. See it as you're meant to see it, like cross over, be part of creation, make sure you get the help that you need if needed, or maybe you don't, it's just a matter of a resting period. Your life review, and you see things all in a certain perspective. And when you cross over, the spirit, the earthbound spirit that crosses over, it makes it easier in a way for those that are earthbound living a life experience. And so then they're part of creation now. And so, and being ancestral or somehow, in that family line where they can be a certain way and helping you, help them, help themselves as a consciousness, even with all that they've experienced, living a life experience. But if they're earthbound, they can do things where they think that they're being of service for you or helping you, but sometimes it can cause more pain and suffering when it's like, we don't need to do a rerun. We don't need to, be on a merry-go-round. We don't. And it's not that we're spiritually bypassing, it's just that some people, before they die, they don't resolve all that they're needing to resolve. I may sound insensitive here, but I'm not. I'm a Buddhist, and I believe we're to rejoice that person. And so I know from loss that I have rejoiced that person in different ways. And you can show love and kindness for all beings, no matter if they're a human being or not anymore. And so the reality, though, is sometimes you can go through, it's like a filtration of the family, and now you're processing their stuff, but it's not yours to process. And yet you can have compassion, you can widen the lens, you can see how certain things unfold. And then you're reminded, hey, I'm a human being. Please don't be abandoned of my time. I'm living a life experience, and time is so valuable that I myself don't even feel like I have enough time in a day to do as I may. And certain things can go on with spirit. And even with human spirit, I was trying to recognize in the last 24 hours, there was something unusual going on. And I, even before the event, even before seeing my son, even before all that, I was feeling like I'd get in my car, and then I'd get out of my car and I'd feel this pain bodies. And it was just like, and then I was told it's possible it's somebody that I once knew, his mother, that's experiencing pain, and that this person is doing warlock stuff, trying to transmit her pain onto me for me to, heal her in a way that's just in the universe, in the cosmos, the matrix, however you want to call it, laws is unlawful. And so I'd feel these pain bodies that are not mine. And so whether that's true or not, I still use discernment. And so I was noticing when I get in and out of the car, these pain bodies, this kind of pain. And it was like, so I used Florida water to, you'd think I was crazy. And it's funny, the synchronicity in that, and I'll tell you in a moment. But here I am, I'm in my car, and I'm wiping it down with Florida water and some beautiful soap. And then the outside of my car, I get it washed, because my inside is still pretty clean. But I wash my car. And then I found that I took Florida water spray that has no alcohol in it, and I went around my car and sprayed my car. And a lady came out from the grocery store and saw me doing this, kind of looked at me, and I'm like, I don't know what I said to her. I said, oh, I'm just cleansing around my car. And so after I'd wiped it down as well, drying my car after the car wash with a cloth that had Florida water in it and some soap just to wipe it down. Now that seems insane, but I'm not surprised how things unfold and manifest. So I'll give you an example. So I have this thing where it really bugs me when you're in traffic and you're driving and you stop at a light and you're taking a moment like I was with my dog, and I just look over at her. I'm just taking a moment, okay? A moment. And the light turns green, but I'm taking a moment just to look at her. And somebody behind you is laying on their horn. Lord love a duck. There are times where I'm just like, I've honked back and gave them a thumbs up. This time, I did that. And the guy drives by and he's going crazy, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, for those of you that believe in higher selves, okay, yeah, let's just ask that you shower down clarity upon you. Let's just take the blinders off and see how it is you're behaving by honking on the horn and being ignorant, amongst other things. And I'm like, oh, it's a test again, right? It's a test of his patience being behind me on my ass. To me, just taking a breath in a moment at a stop sign. It's like, it's Saturday. I'm not in a rush. It's not like I was stuck in time and sitting there for 5-10 minutes and the person, and even then, are we going to have to start putting our four-ways on when we stop at a light? I better be careful how I say that, because knock on wood, helping someone in a special way because they were, they stranded at a light. And so on my birthday yet, I'm like, oh, I know what it's like to have car problems. And so anyway, I just know that, there's people. And then I'm reminded, oh, remember when you're young, or different things, and people living lives. And there's just different people that are living life and are just ignorant. And we all have been at one time or another. And then we have experiences in life and we process things, and then it just is as it may. And so have compassion. At the same time, it's like, I guess because I've experienced being in Hawaii, in the Big Island, where you don't use your horn at all. And it's comical and funny how that can be, because here I'm driving and I see my neighbor and he's about to go in his door and I just tap on my horn and I'm like, what the heck am I doing, right? He didn't hear me, thankfully, and I'm thankful that I didn't lay on my horn. But these people that lay on their horn, like, what's up with that? And then, I don't mean to complain, but it's like going for a walk and seeing all these cigarette butts on the ground. And then when you see people spitting on the ground, and then you're thinking, you have your animal, and you wonder why animals' lives are shorter than human beings. They're walking around, and people with disease or whatever the case may be, and they're spitting on the ground and they're doing all these things. And don't get me wrong, thankfully for rain and for those that clean up the streets. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, I have no idea why that's even coming up. That wasn't my intention. And so as the day went on, I was like, you know what? I'm getting out of the city. And I did. And you know that pain body? When I got out of the car, it was different. And Lord love a duck, when I got home, it was on the other side. It was totally like as if, it was like every time I get out, it'd be my left side. It'd be like my hip was out. And I know it's not my hip. I know it's not my pain. It's not mine. It's not mine to bear. And you wonder how many of us are feeling pain and it's not our pain to bear. And so I'm in my car, and I have I decided to grab some, I can't even think of what it's called, but that's okay. I bought a herb and I put it in my car. And it's herb medicine in a special way, but it's not ingested. Which reminds me, maybe one should start taking sage again. And so here I am, and it's like as if something shifted to my right side. Isn't that crazy? So when I got out of the car, it was like totally on the other side. And I hadn't done anything for it to warrant any kind of pain. But either way, like I said, I saw the big trailing of ants and I was watering my plants and I was like, oh my. And to think that people walk around every day with pain and sometimes they don't even get an answer from a doctor. They don't even get, they may not get looked at for years and suffering and waiting because of the doctor shortage for surgery. And so we're grateful, right, for those of us that have mobility. Maybe it took me being in a wheelchair and not having mobility for a while, that when I did, and I do, I'm so grateful for my feet. I'm grateful, you know. But I do know that I went through a lot of trauma. And so being on the mend in the manner that I am and sharing and being authentic and honest, many people don't. Many people won't even share their stories of how they became, and not that I'm going to label myself, you know, it's interesting. Last night another said the same thing. I'm like, I don't even want to be known as a medium. I don't even want to be known as a healer. I don't even want to be known as any of this stuff. Because unfortunately there are those out there that really take advantage of those that are. There are those that are suffering great bodily pains that affect people's well-being. And why? Is it because they're evil? Is that the word we're to use? They're lost? They're detached from their own soul? Are they? I don't know. I just know that there is beauty, there are miracles, and there are lights. And I know myself even organizing a beautiful group of people. It wasn't even me that did it. It all unfolded exactly as it was meant to be. Exactly. Years and years ago, back in about 2008, 2009, well, 2018 was a big and pivotal change for me. So 2019, I remember saying, I want to start a support group. But what I realized later was all those people that came in and out of my life, even as guests, even as, what I mean by that is guests is people I worked on through hypnotherapy, different healing modalities. And I realized they weren't the group that was meant to be. They were already kind of hooked and attached to others that would portray themselves as famous and better. I don't have time for that. There's people out there that have prestige and they have whatever it may be. That can fall apart at any time with anyone. Anyone can be in a crisis at any time. They can lose someone, they can lose a job, they can lose a relationship, and they could have somebody they love very much leave this planet. There's different variations of loss, and not to minimize one over the other. But as human conditioning, we always look at, oh, the person that died, that's the most painful loss compared to those that are going through transition because they lost a job or they're going through divorce. Well, I can tell you, we all have, let me just step back there for a moment. Many of us have experienced all three. And so, and loss can be someone get fired or somebody walks away. My last career, I walked away. I just said, unless I trust you, I can't come back here. And I unfortunately had a supervisor that, was struggling herself. And she would say things like, oh, I'm going to knock her down a peg or two, or peg or 3 or something along those lines. And it was just not a healthy work environment when I reflect back and see what was going on behind the scenes in the background. And that happens especially if people are suffering themselves from co-occurring disorder. And some of them have abilities and they cope with using illicit drugs or alcohol or even food at times. I'm guilty of using food to cope. And so, yeah, a good example of that was when I saw the ants, and I said to myself, oh my God. I came in the house and I called an exterminator, but then I called a friend, and then I end up going in the fridge and grabbing yogurt and nuts, and thankfully it's healthy stuff, but still I ate like 3/4 of a container of the yogurt with the nuts, and I was just like eating like just eating the emotions of how am I going to face this one. I've gone through so much, like even buying this home I bought. Like, there are those in the world that don't realize the impact they have on others by taking them for granted. But this is human nature. This is totally different. And then I got, oh no, they're coming from the neighbor's yard. So who knows, right? People can put traps out, and then all of a sudden the whole army of ants are moving with their lava. And I don't know if that's the case to be true, but either way, much love. I love both my neighbors that I know on both sides. And the one across the street to the right seems nice enough. I haven't met everyone yet. And one down the street, lovely. A couple down the street are lovely as well. And so, yeah, it's quite interesting to say the least. When I reflect back on all I've overcome, and to be proud, It's so funny when I told somebody how old I was, and she goes, don't be telling anybody how old you are. You don't look that age. And somebody else, I said, oh, somebody else did that same thing in the same week. And so I just had to chuckle, to say the least. I just had to chuckle. Either way, time for me to go to bed. And before that, just do a couple of things. And that I do kind of on a ritual basis. And pray that I find the pieces to my gong stand. I don't know if you believe in teleporting. Some people would say, oh, it's your consciousness. You in pilot mode and you were cleaning up and you just took the box and threw it in the recycle or threw it in the garbage. And I'm like, how is it that other things have went missing before? And I realize now that it was somebody who, let's just say, stole. I remember Spirit saying, somebody's taking pictures of your big crystal. And I thought, there's just no way these people would be doing this. And then I found out, no, it was this person. And so I get the signs, I get the flags, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't want to know. Because I at times feel like they have to be accountable and responsible for their own actions, for what it is that they're doing. If they're crossing the line ethically, like a universal law, as some people call it. I've been hearing universe a lot. And then, learning about the Matrix. And even when you think about the cosmos. And it's funny how people bring in the ethers, and you think of ethers like the energy that's flowing through a wire and Ethernet, right? And so even that, because I talk about the phone, and spirit can transcend and transmit, and so can humans when they heal. They can send healing, distant healing in a unique way as well. I wouldn't have known that if it was for Thai, who is a short form for Thich Nhat Hanh. And so, yeah, it's just unbelievable when I think about the journey and as we age and impermanence and getting easier with it, I still say it's not easy, but may it come with grace. I know that it's rare that I look in the mirror anymore. It's not because I'm shallow or anything of the sort. It's what I've been taught, and even though we do different ritual things to keep ourselves safe, it's like things unusual occur. And so I don't know if that's because of those manifesting and doing and crossing the line ethically. But either way, I was talking today to some lovely ladies about intentions and purity, and how some people are, and they'll try to walk in and imprint you with some new thoughts so that you believe something to be true when it's not. And so it's speaking with these lovely ladies about how people, their intentions may not be pure, especially if they're setting curses and hacks and doing things, even though most say, oh, this is normal, because it's like the razor tongue and things we say, and not understanding the intention. So you forgive them anyway because their intention, they're not understanding that if you're using gossip and you're talking ill regard, ill intent, and every human being is responsible for this, that the ricochet effect it can have. So that's why you're kind of like, when somebody starts talking really badly, you don't want to shush them. Or let's say they want to engage in an argument. You don't want to shush them, right? I mean, at the same time, you don't want to engage. Like, you just don't want to engage. So I even know for myself, knowing a clear knowing of how people do these spells, and then they put things in the freezer, and I know myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to counteract that. I'm going to do the love and kindness. The love and kindness. And it's a universal cosmic thing. And so may more people come into realization where when they say, may I be free from anger. Okay, how can we come into a clear knowing of understanding how we may be free from it, not escape it, how we may become free from it, from our experiences, and how we can make different choices. It may be that you become free from anger because you know as soon as you, it's like a barometer, and you know that you've reached a certain level and you're like, okay, I'm agitated, I'm irritable right now. What is the coping strategies within my heart? What is it that I can do to prevent myself from becoming angry? Even to a point where at different vibrations of experiences, how the anger can seem very different for each person. So you can have somebody that has a full blown out argument and they're upset and you just witness it and you're like, whoa. Or you can be that person where you know you're angry and other people may not even see it. They may look at you and they may not even see it, but you're angry. You feel, ugly. You feel that the anger that you feel, and then you start to, query, okay, what is it that's making me upset right now? What is it? And so you're processing whatever it may be. It's like that cognitive behavioral therapy where you stop, take a step back, observe and process. What is it that's making me angry right now? How is it that I'm welcoming this experience? What is it that I can do differently? Why? And is it possible that I feel I have to defend myself, from this situation? Maybe I need to step back and just walk away for now. So may you be free from anger, and finding the beautiful tools that are required in order to be free from anger. May you be free from ill will. We all can say ill regard, ill intent, do things that are not of love and kindness. So we say, may you be free of ill will. It's kind of like counteracting what it is about ourselves. What is it about us that counteracts that ill will that comes our way? Is it a history of stuff and you're like, well, it's a new day, it's, new beginnings, and that other person's just hanging on, latching on, and doesn't want to let go because they're in distress or going through major pain and suffering, and it's easier for them, to spiritually bypass it than to face the reality and the truth of what is. And so they may find themselves looking for support from other people, but at the same time, energy vampiring. And so it's one thing to talk to someone about support and saying, this is going on, it's really frustrating, this and that. But it's another thing to do the trickery and turn around and say, oh, that person, blah, 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 blah. And that person is, oh, da, 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 da. And then attacking that person's character and ripping it to shreds. That's ill will, because the character and the nitpicking and the stuff you're doing, it affects that other person because they're consciously in awareness. Everyone has the ability to just have that intuitive. It's like this ping in the mind. It's like this awareness when you have that thought form of someone else and you're like, why are they thinking of me? And if you don't feel good about it, then it may be possible that it's an ill will. So may you be free from ill will because of the counter reaction of certain things that have happened in your life. And even though you can do the Ho'oponopono prayer and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It's more in depth than that. And you're seeing more and more of that coming out online. So bravo to those that share and that are sharing these things. And so even on top of all that, may you be free from jealousy. It can rise as human conditioning, human nature. I know myself, I'm the least likely jealous type of person. And for the longest time I wasn't. And then something arose. And then I had to really process it and really, try to figure out what it was that made me feel jealous and just kind of reflect. And then at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, some of this crap is not me, not myself, not even my behaviors, because it's almost like, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but remember the show way back when, Who Shot JR? And it was all a conversation about these characters and who thought who shot who. Imagine the energy that's, and I don't know how that has to do with jealousy. Okay, well, let's just step back and continue on. May we find ways in the path of how to deal with anger, ill will, jealousy, so that we can free ourselves from the physical and mental pain. And most people don't realize is that physical and that mental pain, the mental anguish that can occur because of the pain bodies, but also the mental anguish of not sitting with the pain or even recognizing that it's not yours to bear. It's like right now, it's like, why am I feeling back pain? It's not my back pain to bear. This is not, and then I start to query with my guidance and my team and the spirituality. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost like a continuous flow, like you're in a washing machine, and there's these beings that you get entrapped, like in spirituality even. And then you start to go, whoa, please don't judge me. And then what happens? You get judged, right? And they say, oh, there's a whole different lingo. I've been involved in this for so many years. There are some people that believe spirituality is led by the devil. And so some people are like totally atheists. And then I'm just like, I can't believe that to be true, because the miracles of gathering of like-minded people together that are of love and kindness and caring and compassionate with one another. And it's like one of those things where you're like, it just has to be. And don't get me wrong, the frequency, like clairaudience, and the clair-knowing and the frequency and the clairsentience, especially where I feel very sensitive. Oh my gosh. And so, you get these sensations, and then you're like, oh, like, not mine. And then people are teaching how we're also divinely connected. It doesn't mean that you're to bear the pain of others, physical or mental. There are people, unfortunately, that do curses and hexes and do things where they, it's almost like getting a hook in your back or feeling an attachment. And when you're highly sensitive, you feel it. It's like today when I was in the store, and it was all airy and light, and the girls remind me of fairies and angels, and I was just like, oh, this is so nice, and the clarity of everything in the store. And because I went on a little adventure. Angel Sarah encourages it, so adventure it was. And so Lord love a duck as I'm going like this with my arms. And so I'm like, this energy comes in, and I'm like, whoa, I almost felt nauseous and sick. And I wasn't sure if it was alcohol I smelled or what it was. And the guy was cordial, he was nice, he seemed genuine, a regular. And I was just like, whoa, nauseated. And you feel kind of wonky and just, and again, no regard ill intent to him. I didn't say a word. And it was interesting because when the person left, they looked downcast and they couldn't even look at me, and I was behind them in line. So you forgive those, because I believe those people don't know. They may know now, but they don't know. So then you're reminded, oh, you have to shield and you have to protect. And I'm like, oh, Lord, love a duck. I guess it's like hygiene, where you have to go in the shower. And so I bought some magnesium and I have some salts, and I get to dip my feet just before bed. And so it's like, oh, it sounds so odd, doesn't it? And then there's things in your path where you're like, I was at the dollar store yesterday, and I was guided to, I was looking at this little container. It's like this spray bottle thing, and I'm looking at it going, I really don't need that. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, one of my guides is trying to tell me otherwise. Sure enough, I had to spray that vinegar and water combination. However, I was fortunate enough to have a little water spray bottle. I mean, it wasn't big like the one I saw. But either way, there's always signs. Always signs. And I'm like, always signs and reminders that surround us, even with materialism and the things we buy. And then I'm like, this is okay. It's like when something falls off the wall and you have something to replace it with. So as soon as somebody comes through your door, it's like, no engaging. No, thank you. It is not welcome. May we be free from anger. May we be free from ill will. May we be free from jealousy. May we be free from mental suffering. May we be free from physical suffering. May we find the path, the righteous one, to nirvana, and realizing at times you may have the odd occurrence where your light gets stomped out, and then you ignite it again, and you're back on the path again of love and kindness, and possibly nirvana. But at the same time, I believe, how many times did Lord Buddha, Lord Sanata, and many other lords and ladies that lived a life experience had to do that over and over and over and over again, and then recognizing they were the light, and then they would blend and not realizing there was something of darkness, but it was up to them and how they would receive what it was they wanted to learn and what they didn't, what doors they decided to walk through, which ones they decided to close. I was told one time long ago, If a door opens, it's best you take it no matter what. I think, wow, is that a way to conquer your fears? Possibly. With our guides and them all at work and helping us for our highest and greatest good, for our ascension, for us to evolve as human beings. It goes greater than human mankind and understanding it. And so may you receive and know that it's not so cordial or kind to downwind. And what I mean by that, energetically, there was a girl I knew before she died by suicide. She had shared, not to me, but to another. And I believe it to be true because I remember that full moon ceremony. And I remember someone saying, I am so sorry, but it took me everything to get here, and I robbed you all of your energy. And one of the coordinators went, shush, shush, shush. I would have loved to have heard more of what that person had to say. Now, I know that person was hijacked in a way when they get involved with a certain collective group that's not of love and kindness, kind of a dark force sort of group, and taken advantage amongst other things. I know that person in a way is definitely innocent and has been trickstered and played with. She's dreaming. Oh. And so when it comes to this person who died by suicide, and knowing that that person felt like somebody kept on robbing her light. She could feel it energetically. She knew it energetically. And I know, and others that I've spoken with know as well, there are times where we may be like, we're not us, we are not ourselves. This is not my grief. This is not my loss. This is not mine to process. That's what I mean by dumping. Energetically dumping. So as time goes on, a lot of us could be walking around with disease and not even knowing where it came from, like fibromyalgia. To me, those with fibromyalgia, they're very highly sensitive. They're actually very gifted, very highly sensitive. Some people, possibly, even though scientific evidence shows them with MS, and scientifically they have things, but at the same time, they're very, very gifted. They pick up these energies. There are some people, they're not sensitive at all. They're kind of like our grounders, you know? It's when energy speaks. And so just know that there's so much more going on in the world than what people realize and the things that unfold, especially when you think of the bigger picture and these business owners and things that people will do. Some are ethical, some are not. And then you get people going around and imprinting things purposely. It's like this beautiful wood. I've seen this, it made me smile. There were other ones I've seen that made me smile. So people are positively imprinting their thought forms and leaving not a piece of them, but they're like subliminally sending a message to this board, right? And so there's a lot of subliminal messages that would have been sent to this board. So there's energy connected to it. It's like Dr. Wayne Dreyer would have described how we as humans become the chair, the energy of the chair. I remember I never finished that course way back in the early 2000s when he was doing this course. And I remember watching the first session, but something distracted me from some hopeful, no, I think it's gone now. I used to have an email and it was like, how are you doing? And so I feel he's connected to many of us as a guide. And so people may be jealous and they want to, put curses and hex and people as a collective. You'd be shocked what they would do. But those on the other side know better because they've lived it. And so anyway, the subliminal message, the energy, and for me, it's all these subliminal messages. I'll give you an example. I was telling a lady today, she had a tattoo and it said something like, love you, love yourself. And I said to her, subliminal messages. I brought back this sign and it said mudroom. And I'm like, Lord, love a duck. My back hallway became a mudroom. So it has to transition soon. It cannot be a mudroom anymore. Thankfully, I didn't take the price tag off of it, and they were very warm and welcoming of the return since I couldn't find a receipt. But either way, I said to her, subliminal messaging, and I was telling her, be kind to yourself. And she goes, that's a good one too. And I said, yeah, I have subliminal messages around my house that remind us, again, may we be free from anger. You may have to have little stickies in your mirrors or around your house as subliminal messages, so you don't fall into the wormhole or allow the tricksters to play with your mind. It's like a waterfall, and imagine you're connected and the water, you're one of the droplets of that waterfall. Now, most people, when the channels are open, they could drive anyone nuts. So you really have to be able to have coping strategies and how to deal with that. And so subliminal messaging is, look at Louise Hayes and her teachings. See how my shoulders just went like that, like kind of went and back. When you think of, the positive things, even when I think of my parents and, my dad, we'd be laying on the lawn looking up at the stars and just connecting. And my mom in the nature walks. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bed of roses growing up, and I have beautiful memories to remember, but there's also some painful memories as well. But you learn to see things from a wider perspective. The scope of your lens widens, and you have compassion, and you see things how they unfold. And even last night, talking to some others, and how our ancestral, and how some people can look in the mirror and they can see as they age, they look like their mother or their father. DNA, right? But then there's also those that feel the essence, right? That's kind of like a programming. It's residual energy. It's having a feeling this soulful essence of them is a part of you. So it's like 2 drops of rain, and all of a sudden one drops, and then there's another one that drops, and it becomes that oneness in a special way. And so it's really tough, right? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's that drop of rain, and then there's the nice, delightful other drop that drops on top of the other one. How did that first drop of rain feel when it hit the ground? And never mind, the other drop is still water, it's still rain. I don't know. It's just, I know these sound like unusual conversations, but at the same time, I will, I'm going to grab, bear with me for a moment, because I just have my phone up. I don't have a phone, pardon me. Blah. Okay. So sometimes you can just even speak and send beautiful messages in a unique way. I've had these cards for a very long time. Now, see, as I speak, there's something like energy that's coming, and it's not mine. And so maybe it's the way the cards fell. And I know I give these cards away and for sacred moments, for people, experiences on my journey. I've been doing this for years. Since, at least 2019, I started giving away these integrated energy therapy cards. I remember there's a story of a family and a little girl and that was kidnapped, and she got to be returned to her family, so gave her her mom a whole deck. And so we can make impressions in different ways of love and kindness and sharing, and so things with ease. Angel Sarah, when you're transitioning, you're awakened to the awakening, sometimes it can be so glorious and you feel like, oh, it's epiphany. It's kind of like spirituality. I get it. It's me. It makes sense. There's synchronicity and everything else, but things still unfold. And as the years go on, you just feel like, oh, like, how is this possible? Like, how is it that I experience things differently, but yet you can have synchronicity in what you're experiencing with another? Even right down to, there are those that are full of jealousy that will try to, after the fact of an experience, try to pick it apart on you. And whether that's seminal on a transmission line, a frequency line, waves and currents, where, there'd be those that are full of jealousy and wondering why were they not a part of something, or it could be whatever the case may be. It's like being guided today in a message where some may be put off by it, but some may not. I'm hopeful, and may they understand how, as when you are there to be of service in a different way, and each and every one of you are to each other, it's almost like little guidelines that are very different, and it's like, okay, I've experienced this, so let's please, if we may, lead forward in this way. Not that we all have free will, we all have freedom of choice. You may or may not decide to join us, and that's okay. It's about love and kindness and treating each other with love and kindness, with respect. Not nitpicking, not abusing. We all have different personalities, different characteristics about ourselves because of our history and our families and friendships and different things of the sort. People may do different things, but I have to believe that those that I surround myself do not cause pain and suffering on those, because if they did, it would be causing pain and suffering on themselves. And we don't want that, do we, for anyone? And even then, some of us believe that if you are causing pain, direct pain, and you're aware of it, and you're jumping the bandwagon, and you're not using discernment, and it can come back. I used to think triple fold, but then somebody told me, 7 times a fold. It's like breaking a mirror, right? 7 years bad luck, someone says. It's superstition. But the part about when it really comes down to the bigger picture of things, and just being conscientious, and being of love, being of kindness. And so foresight, just in the knowing, clear knowing, prediction of certain things. And so even as I was saying, I make sure that, okay, this is how this can occur. And you just have the foresight of it being so, but at the same time, we are in charge of our destiny, in charge of our freedom of choice. And so in a way, I guess, and made this not come across as riddles. Now, even as I say that, it sounds like it does, and it's not. And I just got a subminual on somebody, and it's like, no, thank you. But that may be somebody trying to access my ass check records, and just have to believe maybe that's Angel Celestina in support, and offering support to others, because I'll tell you, when you've been through pain and suffering, and that of dark tries to affect you, and you know that you've been in a place of nirvana, and then all of a sudden, which is enlightenment, And there's more to it than that. But then all of a sudden, it's like a part of you dies because you're stomped out in that darkness and traumatized. So then you reignite your light and you find your path and your way. And then there's that wisdom that comes. So, you know, I know enlightenment's not used so lightly, but for some it is. And that's okay. It's a way of life. And so may you be kind to yourself and feel blessed. Be blessed even when you're able to be kind to those who may not be so kind to you. Know how blessed you are. That's nirvana. Enlightenment is when you're able to sit in the thick of witnessing and bearing and traumatic stuff. And just being the light you are. And even though those that may bear judgment, it's really they're bearing judgment upon themselves. And those things are kind of hard to understand. But once you experience it enough, you know that sometimes it can be a group of a collective of webs of lies sort of thing. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. I was told, you know, it's interesting how many people you're finding out they were once a monk, and then they get out and they leave from being ordained, and then they're healers and they do different things, and they still pray, they still chant. Maybe it's because they want to find love. Maybe, you know, they just want to live and enjoy things, you know. Have a different experience. And I even know myself, there's been many times where I thought, do I just become a nun? But there's that attachment to the name, and I'm like, yeah, no thank you. And it's not for the ill regard, ill intent of nuns as per se. I think of this beautiful nun, oh my gosh, that I met, and she was the oldest nun in California. And the day that they moved, she was moved into a personal care home instead of moving with the other nuns. And she was in I guess if you were to take the size of a single bed and double it, it's like a hospital room so small. That really impacted me, meeting her that way. She was lovely, she was sweet, and she's doing her work, I guess, in a different way, but still. Don't get me wrong, she does support a family and loving, and I'm sure they get her outside, but at the same time, it's just some of these places that look like hospitals or like hospitals. And never mind some of the people that work there that aren't of love and light, and you see it and you're just like, I'm not feeding into that energy. Even though Archangel Michael would be daring me to do so, even daring as I shared the story, and just knowing that there's rules, there's things, living a life experience, and knowing that that's a very different life. That means you give up everything. Now I know what it's like to practically give up everything. I know what it's like to have everything taken away. To give it all away, everything. Yeah, that's a huge step. That's why a lot of monks get the respect that they get. At the same time, a lot of monks, some will get ordained and they realize that they may have been just running away from their own stuff, and then they get to sort it out in a different way and be of service. I was told by once a monk how, like, everyone gets accused of something or other as they're going through becoming ordained. I think that goes for everyone in the universe, cosmos, matrix, a lot of ethers, however you see it. Here, boots on the ground as a human being. And so I've been pecked and prod and abused, and I know I'm really good at creativity, and I'm going to continue persevering on with this house, with creating different support groups. I mean, I used to do it. Creating a support group is different than doing one that's mandated by organizations, whether it's a rehab center or it's under a regional health authority. And so, I don't know why, but seemingly that one girl, when I said it was time for group and she hit me in the back of the head, I said, no, we can't let her out of this program. This is her life. She needs to stay here. So again, Archangel Michael comes up with courage. Taking the courage as to what right now? Having faith in something greater than myself. It's a reminder too to put a picture up of a lion that's courageous, which I love. So may that be a dedication to Archangel Michael and his help in helping me on this path. And it's not just him, he doesn't do it alone. It's an angelical force, and it's not even evil. That's what most people don't understand. They talk about the dominions and balancing out, whether it's karma or metta or merit, merit and karma, and however it may be. But I believe it unfolds in a different way. And we're all learning to be empowered from our own experiences. So off to bed I go, but not until I do one more, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay, today, even though July 11th, and it's just over that now, but the day, July 11th, 7 and 11 is 18. 8 and 1 is 9. And then the 10, because of the 1 in 2026 in numerology. And so in oneness and a homecoming way today, which is rather interesting. It wasn't the day I expected at all. But expectations lead to disappointment, which is really poison. And yet, expectations is important as a human being because we expect respect, but respect is earned. Right? You respect yourself, respect is earned. So there's so many different ways of looking at this. Angel Celestina and joy. Being around certain people definitely bring beautiful joy. Like, when I think about joy children, right? Now, of course, talking about the 10, and then now it's 11. This is going to be the portal of peace day. It's Sunday. It could be good or bad, but it's going to be good. So I must get up early. So yeah. Portal of peace day. Remember, you carry it within your heart. You carry it within your heart. Right here. Portal of peace day. Even though is July 12. 9 and 1 is 10. And then 2026 is 1, which is 11. For some, though, 11 may mean something totally different, and that's okay. But for me, portal of peace. And it doesn't mean I'm a portal for you to invade in order to, kind of in an upside down way, have peace. That's up to you. What is your portal of peace? What brings you peace? Is it being empowered? Is it the courage to speak up as a sovereign being and be what is? Is it creativity? Is it when you feel joy? Is it when you are daring yourself to do something and go, wow, I did it? That brings me peace. As you're, in a completion of something, kindness. Does that bring you peace? Maybe it's support that brings you peace. Maybe it's knowing in the moment of what is and all of a sudden having the foresight in what we call the now. And yet not jumping into that, even knowing and still using discernment. That can be peace. Because then that gives you opportunity to pray and have faith in something greater than yourself and let it unfold as it may. Don't get me wrong, make plans, do your thing, but at the same time, because I used to, I was kind of programmed by someone like one day, one life, and it's like, boy, that would be a roller coaster ride when I reflect back now. At the same time, one day, one life. It's all perspective. Even in the teachings in Dharma. At the end of the day, being grateful for all that is. And with an ease sort of way, because how many of you ruminate as you lay in bed at night with all the thought forms? Remember, sometimes those thought forms are not you or not yourself. And what I mean by that, as a collective, we all have guides. We have a spiritual guide that's there for us. Yeah, it is 10. And we have a spiritual guide, some called guardian guide, a guardian angel. And however you receive this is up to you. And so just know you don't do it alone. And so I don't know why that's coming up, but I'm not going to discuss that right now. But it's like when it does, okay, I will. When it does come to channeling sometimes and clear knowing, it's like whenever you have conversations, this came up just in the last 24 hours. You can be on a frequency line and somebody's on and off, and then let's say spirit is wandering and they're communicating and somebody's entrapped in spirit, and all of a sudden that spirit's visiting you and they're getting certain information and they're going to someone else, and whatever the case may be. And so you're only getting bits and pieces. And then the person that's channeling, that's why I don't even want to be a medium anymore. And because I would never do this, by the way, because the medium is totally different. I don't know why I'm bringing it up that way. But it's like telephone line where somebody picks something up, and then let's say somebody is telling somebody else, and they're not using discernment. I'm guilty of it. It's like, I'll give you an example. So this person supposedly, when a person died, supposedly by brain aneurysm, like my cousin, and they were earth dwelling, and so that person, obviously the family would get some insurance coverage because of their aneurysm. Just give you an example. I'm not saying literally this is the case with each and every, because trust me, there's been situations where it has happened by death and somebody actually died by suicide, but it was somehow unraveled as something else. And so, and some people don't want the family really to know the truth because they're protecting them. They don't want to know that they accidentally overdosed or they died by suicide because they don't want them to feel the guilt, the shame, the grief, but at the same time, it takes their opportunity away from them. I know that sounds off, but it's not. It takes the opportunity away from them, living the experience and how they persevere and overcome that pain and suffering, where they can not blame themselves. And it's again kind of comparing situations. It's like saying, oh, well, if somebody died by suicide compared to somebody that died from an aneurysm, the aneurysm, they wouldn't have expected it. Whereas the suicide, it was a choice. Even though we're not to blame ourselves for those that died by suicide. At the same time, I truly believe we can all have a part in it in one way or another. Now, I'm not saying I'm responsible for somebody dying by suicide because, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Truly. And so, how we can have an impact on one another by what we say, what we do, our judgment, nitpicking, ridicule, you name it. It can cause people excruciating pain, especially judgment. When I think of, someone who once had a friend who was using medical marijuana and he got chastised like he got, from his coworkers. So he took his life. He wasn't supported. So then the friend was angry because of those that had judgment. I'll give you another example. When I was at work and there's this beautiful soul, a mental health worker, and I used to, in between calls and going out on the road and stuff, I would literally stop at her office once in a while. And even though we're still under the regional health umbrella, she was like a different department, but she had went on a call with me before and had filled in. And so we got to know each other. And so I remember being in her office, and she was always so insightful and so beautiful and so good at what she did. And then I remember some coworkers, when she died, they talked shit about her. And I'm like, I knew her on a different level. So the loss hit me. And so I guess that's just myself realizing that, even when people lose people, we have to be consciously aware. Even though we may be Buddhists, be consciously aware that some people might not be welcoming of our thought forms of even celebrating the person, if you know what I mean. Because they're in such deep sorrow, deep pain. They don't understand. And they have attachment to that loving being. And that's real pain and suffering. I have went through real pain and suffering. When my grandmother died, something held me up in the shower from collapsing. When my mom died, even my dad, it was the freakiest, when he died. And I survived a drowning that same day. And there's more to it, but either way. And many, many others. Oh, the excruciating pain I went through with my first loss at 13 years old. Actually, even younger than that. I just don't remember it. When my sister's, one of her best friends, got run over by a bus. And I was on the bus. And then my sister telling me about a concert and we were in the parking lot when a guy died by suicide. I'm like, what? I was much too young, but I would have felt the energy of it. So that was very traumatizing for her, because she is a year older than me and was more aware, I guess, at that age. So, I mean, her experience, her story to tell, but at the same time, as I said, I gotta go. May you be well, may you be happy. Why I'm sharing like this, I'm not sure. I guess what it really comes down to, there's so many people out there that are doing different lines of work, and they won't admit to their traumas and how they got there. Because there's so many people with the stigma attached to them. Stigma about human beings, stigma about, I mean, there are people that are professionals, that are doctors, that are nurses, that have went through excruciating pain. We're talking shocking stuff they would never tell people, because then they would be placed possibly in a box, judged, labeled, minimized. And then there are those that the opposite. They went through trauma, they went through crazy things, and then they end up succeeding and becoming a professional, but still don't share the story because there is still stigma. No matter how much advertising, no matter how much, and even though I remember reading certain things, and it's like Robin Williams, his trans medium, for crying out loud. The stigma attached, to depression. When you get telepathically tortured or tormented, and you can't put those walls up, and you can't shut the frequency lines down, and you can be on all the time, and you're there of service and helping others. He was not him or himself when he hung himself. He wasn't. Some people would all say that it's all about controlling human mankind. And we're all characters and different things of the sort. And don't get me wrong, depression is a real thing. Situational. I mean, different types of depression, right? But the point being is, when you are gifted and you have the abilities, do you want to take those abilities and utilize them in a light way or a dark way? I believe he was doing it in a light way, in the darkness. It's like, most would not say this, but I'll just say it. It's like Jesus Christ when he was crucified. It was because he wouldn't give in to the demise of others that wanted him only to what? Heal certain people and not others? Control. And he wanted to be what? Peace, love, equanimity, harmony. When it comes to greed and corruption and different things of the sort, spiritually bypassing, trickery, game playing, those of the light, to me, those that walk in and do what they do, that give their power away, even right down to the spirit that attaches, they give their power away, as in a human being that once was or is, all they've learned, all the different things, they give their power away. To me, that's worse than sevenfolds. So I hope more people come forward and really share their genuine stories and not be shunned or minimize and to be heard. I remember way back when there was a coach, and I remember it was a collective group, and there was her first retreat she did. But even just before that, this girl was talking about how she was in this class with this certain person. And I don't know why I didn't see the red flags even then. And she was crying because this guy in this class said, I don't want to hear any of your stories. That doesn't matter. Like just deflating people and robbing them of their light. People do identify with their stories because it's their experience. It's not their labels that make them who they are. It's their experiences in creation that make who they are as human beings. You know, you can work really hard in a secondary education and you can become a professional, and your experiences can vary. Are you a good person? Are you doing evil stuff and being a bad person? Who are we to judge, right? At the same time, every human being, we have to have faith, right? The judgment day comes for everyone, and judgment day can be any day. It's like, I believe that Remembrance Day, and my ex used to think this way too, and probably still does, and I would be like, Remembrance Day is every day. In my heart, of many hearts, Remembrance Day is every day. And it's not in a negative way. It's more of a lest we forget, so that we can have gratitude and appreciation. It's kind of like pain and suffering. Lest we forget. It is real. And without that, we wouldn't rejoice. We wouldn't have the joy. We wouldn't have the freedom. We wouldn't have what we have today. And even then, right? Things unfold and we find out, oh, wow. And so I know some people talk about karma being very different. I guess I'm old school. And some would say, oh, that's just a superstition. We're all here to learn and live the experience, and then we come back, and some people believe that it all depends on when you awaken and how you age, and all this whole analogy. To each his own. I respect it, but at the same time, I've learned a lot of different things, and then I have my own clear knowing of what is. So in reality, we are our own creation. And so whatever we program ourselves with, we are our creation. Some of us, are okay with being bad. Some of us not. And that's where shame and guilt and all this other stuff can come up. But at the same time, you regroup and you realize that you are enough. It's society's expectations, amongst other things. And never mind, it's all programming different things. It's like going for shop therapy. But then today I was just like, nope, this is different. I bought some things and the numbers added up. And then I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Because I remember the girl saying, oh, it's 6 minutes that I was off duty. But we were talking and she put my transaction through. And then numerology was 6. And I'm like, okay, this was meant to be. And then I said to her, when we were talking, how, the Queen of Angels, Mother Mary, and number 6. And so, yeah, there's just different things we all resonate with. And some would say, oh, it's an illusion. That's an imaginary world. That's something different. Well, with creation, when more than one person says it, then you know it to be a reality. Right? It's all part of creation. We're all part of creation in creating how it may. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where I was driving home. I'm like, ooh, why am I having a clear knowing of some man sitting naked in a chair? Like his penis is sitting there and he has testicles. And I'm like, No wonder I chose to be a woman. Don't get me wrong, you got to appreciate your body and permanence and everything else. But some energies you just don't want to pick up. It's like, no, thank you. That's crossing the line. Maybe I'm just so modest. It's just like some people may laugh at that, but I'm like, no, thank you. And then you hear a collective and you're like, yeah, no, thank you. And so it be, may we lead forward in a day, portal of peace. And that doesn't mean I'm your portal for you to find peace. Find peace within yourself, in your own creation and what is. Please and thank you. And however you may receive, no matter what the salutation is, in prayers. May you be surrounded with clarity and love and compassion, understanding. May your perspective widen in forgiveness of yourself and others. And just imagine the better person that you're capable of being. And it's not a matter of proving it to anyone else, yourself. But trust me, for some it does feel good, if need be. I know even for myself, though, it's very different. When I share something, it's in love and kindness. It's not to prove nothing to nobody. Not to prove anything to nobody. If I'm to prove anything, it would be to myself. What can I say? The 3D world. We can say goodbye. Lots of people are evolving. And those that aren't, I've been told by others, they're saying their goodbyes. And there's some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. I pray for my old neighbors and the transitional changes that they've been going through. May it be with ease as I look down at Angel Sarah's card and I think of them.